100% that I know that when I'm working through somebody's situation, I know that with the tools that we have, that confidence is there.
At the end of the day, you're new into a marketing campaign. You've kind of gone from our agent shift program and closing your first 3 IULs and annuities, using the retirement income sales system. And then you've graduated on, you've moved into marketing, you've moved into annuity marketing, you've become a partner agent. Early on, I think it's in your first month or so, you've got 650,000 in kind of pending annuity business that you're working on. You're also somebody for us, Eric, who you're such a persistent professional. That's one of our core values. You show up to the sales coaching calls, the partner office hours, you're attending, you're growing, you're getting your cases planned and designed. And above and beyond all of that, you really just are this kind and caring and thoughtful person that is just not only wonderful to clients, but also just wonderful in the Jucebox ecosystem. So just a huge congratulations to you. May of 2024, my friend, well, you are Agent of the Month.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Absolutely. Thank you. And I'm so glad to be here. And I can't thank you guys enough, and Juicebox and the process and everything that that I've experienced and that I'm continuing to go through. It's just fantastic.
Eric, can you take us back to the moment where you found us? Do you remember, how did you hear about Juicebox originally?
It was actually on Facebook, which is ironic because that's now my marketing program, right? It's on Facebook. So I was, again, relatively newly licensed and looking for better support. I was looking for some resources in order to create better processes within what I was trying to do for myself and create, and being able to substantiate what I was talking about with prospective clients. That's ultimately what I was looking for. And I was just scrolling through Facebook one day and I saw a Juicebox ad, and I think it may have been even Jim in the video. I was able to get into advanced markets on school, and I was able to feel out the community, see some of the posts and everything there, and then so I did that for a short period of time before learned about the agent shift program and the training and everything like that. And then that's when I had my first conversation and really learned about the program and what was available.
So Eric, I understand, can you take us back to the big challenge? What was the biggest challenge in your business at the time you were considering Juicebox? Do you recall?
When I had people on the phone and I was talking to them about their financial situation, and this was IUL focused conversations, obviously with Juicebox TFRA focus, but I would run through a series of questions with people, and then we would agree on a monthly premium, and then I would run an illustration. We would see what that would look like, and then that was it. That was really the process, and there was no calculation behind it. There was no substantiation behind it. It was simply just a good idea. And it was a narrative. And that's what I knew. Being in the financial services business for so long, I knew you can't run forward. You can't move forward on a good idea.
Eric, can you compare and contrast that to where you are now, knowing the Juicebox process on the other side? How is what you did before different than what you do now?
It's drastically different from a standpoint of, the calculations that are involved and plugging the person's numbers into the forecaster and allowing the forecaster to do the retirement math that it does, and actually showing people what their income will look like based on what they're currently doing versus a potential solution or implementing a potential solution or plan. But then showing that number and then allowing the client to ask questions about that number, and then being able to back into that number with proof, like, okay, this is where that number is coming from. That's the difference.
And what have you noticed the difference in the client reaction, if there is a difference?
Well, there's a big difference because there's a sense of awareness, because I mean, you can argue with math, or about math, but as long as the calculations are done correctly, right? You can't really argue with that. And so that's the biggest difference. You can't take the human aspect out of it. People resist change and things like that. But at the same time, I know that I'm providing them with the clarity around their current situation, at least at the front end, and then showing them what is possible, again, substantiated by the math, what is possible for them if they were to implement, a certain plan, based on their numbers and within their budget.
Looking back on joining Juicebox, do you remember what was the decision point for you to actually join Juicebox?
It was really to truly know that I was helping people out, to know that I was, we go through a lot of, obviously the best interest standards and, the fiduciary responsibility, that we have as licensed agents. And I needed to know that for myself, that I was doing what was right for my prospective client and my current clients. I wanted to know I was doing what was right. And that just comes down to the appropriate product or strategy for them.
Now, 6 to 8 months into that journey with Juicebox, where it sounds like before you weren't confident and you didn't have that belief, do you feel like now, 6 months or 8 months later, that you do have that given the Juicebox system and training?
I do. Absolutely. 100% that I know that when I'm working through somebody's situation, I know that with the tools that we have, that confidence is there. And then ultimately, it's, again, you can't take the human factor out of the business, right? Ultimately you can show somebody where they are and what they what I think they could, do differently and do better to put themselves ultimately in a better position. Again, all proven by the numbers.
Eric, when we're talking about tools, I'm really curious to understand for you, out of all of the potential tools, and when I say tools, you can think about the forecaster and scripts and presentations and, coaching and training and CRM and any number of the potential tools that you have access to, Mike Milligan, the $700 million guy. What have you found to be the most important for your results?
The coaching, for sure. I mean, that one-on-one interaction, even though, I think a lot of people might get intimidated because it's in a group setting, but having that one-on-one conversation with Mike or Jim, in a coaching session, even though there are other people watching, it's still a one-on-one interaction. It's a one-on-one coaching call for that specific client that you're talking about. And to me, that's the most impactful. I mean, learning how to use the forecaster, where to put certain numbers and things like that, that was important as well. And being able to show a client, those numbers based on the calculations that it does for us, understanding what's behind those numbers for me was the biggest impact. And the way I do that is through coaching, because I don't go into that depth with the client.
Can you give a tangible example about how that's been effective when you're talking about the coaching and I'm sure case design and case planning? Is there a tangible example that has led to a result for you, closed business or something of that nature that you can share?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I just, recently closed a TFRA, an IUL for a client that already had an existing IUL. Her focus was retirement income because there was a big age gap between her and her husband. She's much younger, so statistically speaking, she's going to be around longer than her. But the problem is that his income goes away for the most part when he passes, so that the focus is planning for that situation, which hopefully hopefully it's a long time away, but it's still, you know, a reality for her that could happen, and how is she going to support herself. But anyway, the IUL that she had was not structured properly, so I was able to dig into that, show her why, you know, with the forecasting tools, and show her, you know, the math, and you know what her projected tax-free income would look like if, you know, we just refinanced her existing IUL, used the exact same premium that she was paying, with a better result. So there was no impact to her budget by doing this, but it put her ultimately in a better spot.
Before we part, Eric, when you think about talking to somebody who has done what you've done, they've wanted to get more experience selling IUL and annuity, and maybe they haven't had the support and the training and the system and the coaching and the tools and the things that you've already described here. What do you say to that person who has been in AMLA, Advanced Markets Life Agents community? Maybe they've talked to us before, maybe they've been getting our emails, or maybe they've been seeing our ads somewhere. What do you say to that person from the other side?
I would say just reach out and schedule a conversation, just to have a deeper conversation, to learn more about what is, lack of a better way to say it, what's on the other side. Because what's on the other side is absolutely invaluable.
Eric, you are our May 2024 Agent of the Month. Please continue to keep that up, continue to contribute in such a positive way in which you have done over the last 6 to 8 months. You've got such a bright future. There is still so much more that we're going to do together. And so just can't wish you anything but the best. And thank you for your time today, Eric.
Absolutely. And thank you. I am absolutely honored to have been chosen. So thank you so much.